everybody, it's this guy here for the Mimic Report. I've seen a few videos about this website lately. It's been very active. So let's get started. So you know what you're looking at for people that have never seen this before. The red area is a lot of moisture. I'm sure the people in the Philippines over there are really pissed off right now. The browns and the purples, not so much moisture. Much drier, probably colder, you can see where it's at. So we want to talk about some things and what to look for. If you notice, there was a little blip right there. But unless you're paying attention, you're not going to catch this. So I've taken probably the last 5-6 months worth of recording and broke it down for you so you could see what's actually going on. We could talk about a few things, put some stuff on the table, maybe get a little feedback from the community as to what they think's going on. You'll notice that there's a wave that seems to go from the right to the left. I'm calling that the satellite taking its pictures and putting them together, and that's the slice. And they just keep going from right to left, nothing to worry. So with that said, let's rock and roll and start the show. What you're about to see is an energy weapon that goes from the Pacific Ocean over to the Atlantic up to Nova Scotia. If you watch really closely, you could see the wave travel from the Pacific Ocean towards Nova Scotia. Very quickly like that. And there's a secondary wave that follows. Some kind of an anomaly down in the Antarctic. But that tube you see right there, that's very interesting. Only in the Pacific. Only in the Pacific. Generally in that area right there where it was. Not the Antarctic anomaly. We'll talk about that later. What are these tubes? It's obviously cylindrical. It's got what appears to be a hole in it. So let's start the guessing. There's another channel. Talks about CERN a lot. Good information. Check out Richie from Boston. He's got some good stuff going on CERN. Is this connected to that? Is this the Stargate that they're opening up? Is this a way for them to come in and out from off-planet excursions? I'm not sure. Very interesting. Whatever it is, it comes in many varieties. You'll notice down off the coast of Chile, right here. Not sure what that is, but it seemed to affect the atmosphere somehow. We have the rainbows, the ribbons you just saw over in the Philippines-ish area. What are they doing? What is all this stuff? They have built platforms, floating platforms, that they call radar stations, out into the middle of the Pacific. We've got HARP grids all over the planet. All over. And if you buy the BS about they're not active anymore, well, I got a bridge to sell you. I'm going to call this, part of what's going on is weather modification. If you pay attention, as you saw from the Pacific to the Nova Scotia area, when these energies happen, what we're looking at is the precipitation. The clouds and the precipitation seem to roll much faster. So this is obviously having an effect on it. I think that's one part of it. I think the other part of it is weapons. You could see that shot that just came from the Antarctic. What is that doing? What were those big flashes in the Gulf of Mexico? You know, we've had a lot of storms here in the southeast. You guys have really taken taken a beating the last few years, and it never seems to let up. Is this what's going on? Well, I'm going to start taking a much closer look at this. I follow this regularly, but I'm going to do it even more so. You'll notice that when that hits right there, the Gulf of Mexico, you could see that moisture really travel fast right there. You see that? Some Antarctic anomalies going on down at the bottom. And this is a 5-day period. Just watching all of the things that take place in 5 days. This is very active. So, what is it? I'm not sure. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you know the answer. Call the bat phone. We will answer it. See that little blip right there off of Colombia? We'll have to check out the seismic station there. See what's going on. You know, it appears that these energies jump from one station to another. I've plotted them out and try to look for it. Some kind of a connection. And sure enough, they move from what looks like a small HARP array radar facility to another HARP array radar facility. There's a very obvious one off the coast of Nigeria. There's a little island off the coast of Nigeria. You got to kind of search for it. But there's one there, and then there's another one out in the Atlantic, South Atlantic, between South Africa and maybe Brazil, Uruguay down there. And that also has another seismic station, radar facility, and if you spend the time, you can see that they are shooting from the islands off of Nigeria down to this little island. What are they shooting that at right there? Real quick, you saw them white flashes scroll by right there. They say that that is the lack of data, but if you watched, there was a shape that shot into the middle of that. So it's kind of hard to say there's no data when there's obviously a shape in the data. This one's very interesting because I've not come across a shot like this. This appears to come from that little island off the coast of Nigeria, straight towards the east coast. And as I said, I have yet to see this before. This African shot across the east coast. You see that North Arctic blip. This is a look at the Pacific Ocean. You'll see a rainbow ribbon right there. That's what I'm calling them. Little ribbons, half moons. Not really sure what they're trying to accomplish with that right there. But we have a north and south energy right there. What are they doing? I don't like seeing stuff like that. Right here. Right there. Bang. Right in the Gulf. Not very good. Not very good. Got a couple of ribbons. Right there. Got some kind of a blast in the Arctic. We got something in the Gulf of Mexico. Right here. Gulf of Mexico. Bang. Big surge of moisture. We got some kind of an energy wave right there. It's like taking moisture out of the air is what that did. It went from red down to the yellows. You got to look really close right here. These are the kind of things that flash by you if you don't slow it down. We got something going from Africa to Antarctica right there. Did you see that? What kind of shot across the bow is that? Very interesting stuff going on. A lot of data. Very active. Very active this summer. It's what I call ghosting right there in the Central Pacific, where it's just a very faint, looks like a rip in the fabric right there, and looks a little thin. Let's see, another blast in the Gulf of Mexico. We got something going on in the south. That right there is what I'm calling some kind of a rip. Doesn't really have a distinct shape, just has an effect, like a mirroring effect or something. But you can see it actually affects the precipitation in the atmosphere. There's no denying that. There is too many of these things going on for them to say it's corrupted data or it's just a glitch or you're seeing stuff. Now, I'll give you, maybe some of this stuff like that right there that just flashed, maybe that's not an actual energy anything. That could just be a blip in the deal, but I don't think so. I wouldn't believe it if they tried to tell me. Right? What would cause that shift forward or back? Nice little connector going on in Alaska right here. What could they be doing with that? If you look off the coast of Africa and South America, you will see right there, pring, what could do that? Simultaneously, those dots just appear and disappear. See that? Is that planes, a fleet of planes, dropping that all at once? Does it have anything to do with what they shoot out right here in the Pacific? You know, I mentioned earlier that there's a few little islands over there between South Africa and South America. You'll have to do a search of it and look really close. We'll do that later. Right there, that shot across the Pacific is odd. So the white part, again, as they say, is the lack of data, but you could clearly see, again, data in the lack of data. Pretty pathetic for an excuse. So we're going to have another blip off the coast of Central America there, as well as another tube in the Pacific. We're going to have a really, really neat shot. This one's interesting. Nice slow motion of it. If you play it fast, you could barely see the depth of that Central American flash. But this off the coast of Brazil, right here. You could see it starting right off the coast, spreads down, and that shot comes from about the same place as they always do when they come out of Antarctica. Very interesting. That shot is actually targeting northern Central America, Mexico. Could it be reaching into the United States? Not really sure. Is it going to go by again? Let's see. Nope, we got a new one. If you notice all these energies that are shot into the Pacific, most of them have a different wave form. Like that's a concaved situation there. And some have squiggly lines. Yeah. Just odd. I wonder what they're using to tune that with. You know, they just can't keep on shooting the same laser or whatever at the same strength, and for no reason the shapes change. So they must be dialing in something. Again, we have just some flashes that show up. I can't imagine that they're dropping flak from airplanes. I have a couple of ideas of what I think they are. But this right here is really shocking because there are so many of them. So the idea that they're dropping stuff from planes or anything dumb just doesn't fly. It's just not going to fly. What would you say if I told you that they could possibly be off-planet craft? Not saying that they're our craft. Not saying that they're aliens. I'm just throwing it out there. What if it is off-planet craft? That looks more like an invasion than a friendly visit. Right? What if those are meteors? What if those are, space debris falling back to the planet? There could be a lot of things. But what this is right here, that's man-made. And you could see that kind of blocks the rest of those dots from crossing that Florida, South America, Colombia line right there. But check that out. Look what we missed. Had we not slowed this down, this would have been missed. Now, this is going to support my idea that there could be off-craft entering the atmosphere. Down here, you are going to see 3 lights, 3 blips appear and disappear. Could that be them entering the atmosphere, becoming climatized with the precipitation and the temperatures around them, and falling right down below? I'm not sure. Maybe that little tube right there is how they get in and out. Over here in Antarctica, I am wanting you to see the power of Mother Nature. Well, first we're going to check out this tube. Clearly defined opening right there. That was a cylinder. There's no other way of describing that. This is the awesome power of Mother Nature in effect. If this isn't some kind of energy pulse or whatever helping this along. Watch that. Right here. That's amazing. That is powerful. So I don't know what more to say. I've kind of rambled on here and repeated myself a few times. Just very interesting what's going on in our atmosphere that we're completely unaware of. Right here we're going to see some unusual stuff in the Northern Pacific. This right here, I've never seen. You've just watched 6 months of the mimic, of the precipitable moisture in the atmosphere. You should be in awe, just like I am, of what we are seeing. There's no other way of putting it. One last thing, and I'll be done. Remember, in order for them to shoot something from Antarctica to the Arctic or vice versa, they would need to follow the contour of the planet. Somehow they would have to get that right there to cross the equator and bend back down. That's probably why the tubes are always in that same spot in the Pacific. If those energy pulses that they shoot out from Antarctica, like that right there, that stops at the equator, to me that says that is shooting out of our atmosphere. They are actually shooting something out into space. So now, Rewind, check it out. I'm gonna leave it there. Here's a month of the Mimic. I'm this guy here for the Mimic Report, bringing you the information you need to be an informed human being. Stay safe, everybody.